Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Pimlico Racecourse here on Saturday. It is the 18th of May, 2024. It's Preakness Day from Pimlico, and I'm going to look at the Preakness Stakes and all the other stakes races on the program. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And join me today for my Newbury Lock-In preview, an excellent mile Group 1 proper race there in the UK, so join me for that. But it's Preakness Day. It's one of my favorite days of the year. We're going to look at all the stakes races, including the Preakness, so races 4 and then 6 through 13. So we got a lot of races to get to right now. Starting off with the fourth race from Pimlico, which is the Skipat Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000, race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 7 horses going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the main track. Going to get some wet weather today at Pimlico, so it wouldn't surprise me if this track is very sloppy and the turf course is very, very waterlogged heavy. But my top selection here on Skipat, I'm going to go take the 6-horse Sweet Child O' Mine. I'm going to go 6-3-4-1 in the superfecta, 6-3-4-1 super. Top selection of the 6-horse Sweet Child O' Mine. This 4-year-old filly by Mineshaft, Joe Sharp trains. Jaime Torres gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the Heavenly Cause over at Laurel, 1 mile on the 13th of April, and the horse finished 4th by 4 1/4 lengths that day. She only had 3 other rivals that day. She sat on the front end. She just couldn't keep the momentum going to the mile 16th. She kind of, or to the mile, 1-turn mile. She kind of yielded in the final 3/16ths of a mile. What can you do? Just cutting back in trip today is what she wanted to do. She's done well over a wet track. I think she could get a trip to win. 2 back in the allowance race, 58,000th fairground, 6 furlongs, 3rd of March. Was a success for this horse. She won by 5 1/4 lengths, and on the front end all throughout, she was driving clear home. An 87 buyer, the best for her career. That was a very good race there. And then first off, the long, refreshing 3rd of February fairground, 6 furlongs on the stop in the allowance race, 58,000. She finished 2nd by 3 lengths that day. She just kind of stalked. The winner, who was a next start winner, really took off clear. But this horse, she did get down the race course well. And then they tried her routing in the Queen City Oaks at Belterra last summer over the mile 16th. She is an Ohio bred, but there she just did not get going, and she just, again, not a 2-turn mile 16th routing kind of horse. She's the kind of horse that wants to go, the trip today, which is 6 furlongs. She's going to get it, and I think she could find the winner's circle off of that. I think the 3-horse Disco Evo for Ira Ortiz and Robert Reed could win also. Ran terrifically in the Prima Moneta at Laurel over the 6th in April, where she won by 2 lengths on the front end almost all throughout. She drove home clear with an 82 buyer. Not the fastest of her life, but it was still a very good race. Prior to then, the Barbara Fitch here at Laurel, 7 furlongs in February. She finished 4th by 2 3/4 lengths that day, and they were flying on the front end that day, which, cost her chances late. She yielded into it. Apple Pecker closed up for nowhere to run back to win that race, and came back to run a little bit subpar at Aqueduct, running back actually in this one today. But this horse just couldn't keep up there. And then a Park 6.5 in a allowance race in January. She won by a head on the front and all throughout. She dueled to the wire. Very good race. She has a lot of speed in her. She's run races definitely fast enough to win here. I'm going to give her a shot here in the multi-race. There's quite a few pick 4s and pick 5s on the program today, so whatever pick 4 or 5 you decide to play, use her there. But to recount my selection for the 4th from Pimlico, now it's Skipat. Going to take the 6-horse Sweet Child O' Mine. Give kudos to the 3-horse Disco Evo. We'll go 6-3-4-1 super, 6-3 in the multi-race. So let's head over to race number 6. The 6th race from Pimlico, it is the Chick Lang Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for a $200,000 purse. Races for 3-year-olds here. We have a field, let's see, of 8 horses going the distance of ground to 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs here in the Chick Lang. I'm going to go with the 1-horse Mr. Skylight. Let's go 1-6-2-3 in the superfecta, 1-6-2-3 super. Top selection of 1-horse Mr. Skylight. This 3-year-old colt by Practical Joke. Riley Mott trains. Flavian Pratt gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 20th of April at Keeneland. 6 furlongs and an optional 100 claimer. First time winners. Wasn't a problem for this horse. He won by 3/4 in length and dueling on the front end. He quickened up nicely and he went away with an 86 buyer. It was a logical, increase in buyer. Logical next step, which he excelled with. An all-around good race for this horse. Coming to the next logical step. Coming here to stakes. Quality Horse is not the world's deepest stakes race. I think he could find a good trip to find the winner's circle here today. Prior to that main special at Gulfstream, 6 furlongs, 16th of March. He won by a half a length that day, and again, he sat back early, and after not the best beginnings, but he really settled well after that. He slowly moved his way into the race, and then he got the job done going away. I thought that was a very good effort there. And then on debut on the 10th of February, Gulfstream 6 furlongs in the main special weight. She finished second by 2 3/4 lengths. The winner, Beeline, really took off clear, but this horse, she stalked, she had the lead, and then she drifted late. That cost her the victory, but she outran that 75-1 odds that day. Not a bad race after all and done, but she has to keep a straight course. Looked like they fixed that afterwards. Really improving with all these races under his belt. Training well, Keelan. This horse can win. I think also another horse that can win is the 6-horse Frost Free for High Rider Teason bred Crichton. This 3 called by Frosted here. Getting his most recent out game in the Bachelor at Oaklawn 6 furlongs 27th of April, where he finished second by 1.5 lengths that day. And he was with them early on, flying on the front end, and then he just kind of got caught late. If he wants to win today, he has to slow it down. But they're at the right step with him, trying him back at sprinting. They tried him routing 2 back, which was not a success at Oaklawn. A mile in the Hot Springs Stakes, he finished third by 7 1/4 lengths that day, and he just didn't break so good, and he just never was really comfortable that day. He never got the good turn of foot. It wasn't his day to win. But on the 1st of March at Oaklawn, 6 furlongs and off to 100, he won by 3 1/4 lengths that day, and on the front and all throughout from the inside, he flew home clear. He's proven in his races in Arkansas on wet tracks he can run well with them. He's training well there. Coming here to at 2-1, it wouldn't surprise me if he finds the winner's circle. I'll use him on the ticket. And also the 2-horse Cats by 5 for Steve Asmussen and Luis Saez. You know, he hasn't won since the main victory at Indiana in October, but since then he's been running these good races, close but no cigar kind of races, gaining ground. If there's a horse that could gain some ground with the long stretch here, I would use him here. If he doesn't win, definitely use him in the exactas and trifecta situation, because he can get down there, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's a complete pace meltdown. He could pick up some pieces, but this track is very speed favoring. But to recount my selection for the 6 now from Pimlico, it is the Grade 3 Chick Lane. Going to take the 1-horse Mr. Skylight, give kudos to the 6-horse Frost Free and the 2-horse Cats by 5, 1-6-2-3 Super, 1-6-2 in the multi-race to the Gallorette. The 7th race from Pimlico, it is the Gallorette Stakes. It's a Grade 3 event going for a $100,000 purse race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field here, a very good field, I think, of 9 horses going to post. Keep in mind the 4-horse is an MTO, the 8-horse is an MTO, so 7 will head to the turf course at the distance of ground 1,700 meters or mile 16th here in the Gallorette. I do hope they don't take these races off the turf, because then they'll just get random. But they will have moisture in these turf courses. They had moisture in them on Friday, but with the amount of rain they're getting Saturday, also near 1/4 to 1/2 inch, they're going to get even more saturated, so it's going to be very heavy, kind of like the 2018 Preakness, where those turf courses were very saturated. My top selection here in the Gallorette, I'm going to go with the 3-horse Blissful. I'm going to go 3-7-6-1 in the superfecta. 3-7-6-1 super. Top selection of the 3-horse Blissful. This 5-year-old mare by Empire Maker. Cherie DeVoe trains. Brian Hernandez Jr. gets the mount. The horse's most recent ad came 21st of April at Keeneland, 1 1/8 in allowance race, 125,000. And the horse finished second by 1 1/4 lengths that day. They sat this horse on the front of most of the race early on, and he set some good fractions. He kicked off at the top lane and looked like he was going away with it, but then the winner just had to jump on this horse late, and he got there. This horse, she ran her heart out. Refreshing the stakes quality horses for the first time in quite a few minutes. Shouldn't be a problem. Has some early pace here. Can handle giving the ground. I'm going to give this horse a shot on the ticket. 2 back in the optional 50th Fairgrounds, mile 16, 21st of March. She won by a head that day, and she had a very wide post draw, but she was very rambunctious before the race. She broke through the gate. Usually horses don't win off of that, but she resettled in the gate. She got out of the gate easily. She stalked. She got the lead. She quickened up nicely, and she got the job done going nicely. A very good race for her there. And then a mile at the Fairgrounds and an allowance optional 50 claimer. She finished third by 1 1/4 lengths. Again, a very wide post draw that day. She was very wide throughout, but she was gaining that day. She didn't go down without a fight. Refreshing against these horses, she could win. I think the 7-horse here, Fluffy Socks, is your second likeliest winner. According to other people, also your likeliest winner. The 6-year-old mare by Slumber Chabron trains. Ira T's Jr. gets mount. Most recently, the Jenny Wiley. She had a very wide and eventful trip. She just couldn't get into it that day, and she was wide, and she just was flat. She should have did a lot better than she did that day. Prior to the Hillsborough to Tampa over the mile and 1/8, she ran third by 3/4 length that day. getting slow fractions that day. She stalked. She had a decent turn of foot. She just missed that day Sparkle Blue and Aspen Grove, but she ran her heart out that day. The Hillsborough the last few years has been coming up a really good race. Wouldn't surprise me if it becomes a grade one at the end of this decade. But it seems like they're getting rid of grade ones now, so maybe not. But Hillsborough, she's facing tough horses there. And then the Pegasus World Cup Turf at Goldstream, mile 16th on the 27th of January. She finished fourth by 1 3/4 lengths that day. She was a little bit wide. She closed up well, but I do think she would have benefited from an extra eighth of a mile or 16th of a mile there. And then the Matriarch, she finished second by a head. If she had a better post stretch, she would have won, and she would have won by open lengths. There she was breaking from 10 of 12. She was wide throughout, and she had the lead, and then she got caught. What can you do? She just had to be used a lot to get good position, which wasn't a thing with her, a good thing with her. She hasn't won since the Distaff Turf Mile Churchill last year, where she won quite nicely. But if you look at the division last year, she was in all those major division races and running these good races, just not winning. Refreshing here, I'll give her an excuse for the last race. I'll give her a shot here at 6-5. But to recount my selections now for the 7th from Pimlico, it is the Gallorette. Gonna take the 3-horse Blissful. Give kudos to the 7-horse Fluffy Socks. 3-7-6-1 Super. 3-7 in the multi-race. To the 8th race, the Maryland Sprint. The 8th race from Pimlico, it is the Maryland Sprint. It's a grade 3 event going for a $100,000 purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field here. If we get my pages to load or to work. The field of 7 horses going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs in the Maryland Sprint. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the number 7 horse, the 7-horse Bourbon Bash. Let's go 7-6-4-2 in the superfecta. 7-6-4-2 Super. Top selection 7-horse Bourbon Bash. This 6-1 here. This 4-year-old gun by City of Light. D. Wayne Lucas trains. Joel Rosario gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came just over 2 weeks ago in the St. Matthews Stakes at Churchill. 6 furlongs on the 2nd of May. Derby Day. He finished second by 1.5 lengths that day, and he was with them early on the front end. He had the lead. He got caught by Obezos on the stretch, who just really took off clear. But this horse, he just really, ran his heart out that day with the place, making a quick turnaround to these horses today. Has some early pace. Not a problem. I think he get a trip to win. He ran terrifically at Oaklawn on Arkansas Derby Day. 30th of March, 6 furlongs, launch race, 150,000. He won by 2 1/4 lengths that day, and he didn't have the best beginnings early on, but he sat back early. He slowly moved his way up into the race, and he got there kind of Calvin Borrellish to get there on the inside. A very good, nice run for this horse there with a 92 career best buyer. Gained a lot of kudos from me there. And then on the mud on the 26th of January at Oaklawn, 6 furlongs, launch race, 140,000. He finished third by 3 lengths that day. Very, very troubled trip. He sat back early. He needed some time to get going. And when he did, he just, he kept getting stopped a few times, and it just wasn't his day to win. Even New Year's Day at Oaklawn, 6 furlongs off the bench and allowance 140,000. He finished second by 3/4 length that day. And again, he just wanted something more, but he just wasn't getting there. He's running terrifically. He just hasn't won a lot in his most recent outings. Getting Rosario up was a major booking on this horse. I think he could get a trip to win. I think the second likeliest winner is going to break from the inside of him. The 6-horse Prince of Jericho for Brittany Russell and Simon Russell. Most recently, Frank Whiteley at Laurel, 7 furlongs, 13th of April. This horse finished second by a nose that day, and he was dueling on the front end with this horse. He got caught in the stretch by the eventual winner who's running back in this one today, but this horse, he ran his heart out. Off the bench going 5.5 and off 55 at Laurel in February. He won by a nose, and on the front end all throughout, he got the job. Did a very good gritty performance there. And then the Robert Hilton Memorial at Charlestown, 7 furlongs on the bull ring in August. He finished fourth by 3 lengths that day, and he was stupidly wide, just not really keeping up. I don't think he got around those the bull ring there. He ran in the Chick Lane here last year, where he had a massive place that day, closing up from nowhere, where he had to steady a few times, but he got around the race course well. Again, run these decent races fast enough to win. I'll use him in the pick 6. That begins with this race, so let's use him there. But to recount my selection for the 8th now from Pimlico, it's the grade 3 Maryland Sprint. Going to take the 7-horse Bourbon Bash. Give kudos to the 6-horse Prince of Jericho. 7-6-4-2 Super. 7-6 in the multi-race. And watch out for Super Chow, the 3-horse drifting in the lane. Let's get to the 9th race now from Pimlico. We'll be at Laurel in a few. The All Stakes Pick 5 begins with Race 9 from Pimlico. It is the James W. Murphy Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000, race for 3-year-olds here. We have a field, let's see, of 12 horses entered to go 1,600 meters or a mile on the turf course. Keep in mind the 2-horse Copper Tax is an MTO, so we'll be down to 11 horses on the turf. My top selection here in the James W. Murphy, very good race this year. I'm going to go with the 12-horse Abromar. I'm going to go 10-12-4-7 in the superfecta, 10-12-4-7 super. Top selection, the 10-horse Abromar. This 3 called by Diversadero here. Safi Joseph Jr. trains. Ira Ortiz Jr. gets the mount. And before I go any further, Diversadero, he was a horse just year in and year out. He, it seems like he ran for like 4 or 5 years at least, and he always just ran these consistently good races. It seemed every year, especially at Churchill. I believe he win like the American Turf, came back to win like Turf Classic a few years later or something like that. I can't remember. And then he ran. I could have sworn he ran in British Cup also, and I might have bet him one of the years. It was at like 2018 at Churchill in the mile, if I'm not mistaken. Can't remember now. I think that was the year Expert Eye won the mile. I think I had him on the ticket, But like I said, Diversadero, one of the with the underrated horses, the mid 2010s periods. But Abromar for our ride, he most recently ran 2 weeks ago in the American Turf at Churchill, mile 16th, 4th of May. He has forwardly paced, which he didn't get to show that day. He had a very wide trip. He broke okay, but he just didn't have enough pace to get to the front end. He was wide and he just wasn't keeping up. Making a quick turnaround here today, being forwardly paced on this turf course, which I think he could find forwardly paced with these horses. I think he's going to be in a more leveler playing field to keep up and get the job done today. He ran terrifically before that in the Colonel Liam at Gulfstream, 1 mile 2nd of March. He won by a neck that day. He stalked. He got the lead. He was drifting late, but he got the job done. Not stalked, actually. He was setting the pace. Race before he's stalking. But, he's on the front and all throughout. That was a very good race, but he was drifting, which kind of was a little, iffy with this one, but he's still a very nice run. And then mid-January, Gulfstream, mile 16th and off 75, winning by a length. That day, a very wide poster. It was very rambunctious before the race, but he settled well, went to business. He was with them early on. He quickened up nicely, and he got the job done. A very good performance. Since coming to the new barn, even in the old barn, he was doing wonders. But since coming to the new barn, he's definitely improved a lot. Refreshing here, getting Irad up. He could win. I think the 12 horse here, Fulmino, for Aaron Delacour and Flavian Pratt could get a trip to win also. He's getting blinkers on for the first time, so let's see if that concentrates him. He was just very wide in his seasonal reappearance in the Mid-Atlantic at Laurel, mile 8th and Lodge race 56,000. First time older horses, he finished second by 1/4 lengths that day, and he sat back early, a little bit wide, and you just couldn't catch the winner with the jump on him, but he got down the race course well. Prior to the Columbia at Tampa over the mile on the 9th of March, he ran terrifically. He finished second by 1/4 lengths behind Full Nelson, and again, he had a very troubled trip, but he was really gaining there. And then they tried him on the Derby Trail in the Sam F. Davis, where he finished 5th. He had a very wide poster, which cost him. He just wasn't getting into it. And then Option 5 at the Fairgrounds over the mile 40. He finished second by, at Tampa over the mile 40. He finished second by half a length, and he just kind of got caught in the lane. His turf efforts haven't been half bad. He ran on a very wet turf course in the Pilgrim in New York, and as a 2-year-old, where he ran decently. Coming here today, at 9-2, wouldn't surprise me if he finds the winner circle. And even watch out for the 4 horse here, Twirling Point for Frankie Dettori and Jonathan Thomas. 2 back in that option 100. Santino wasn't bad at all, went by 3/4 length. Came back to gain a lot of ground in the rush away, where he had Terrify on the Torpedo, where he didn't break so well early on, but he was really gaining late. Another horse who's run these decent races, might have to get a little quicker on the speed figure wise, but he can win. I'll use him in the pick 4 or the pick 5 that begins with this race, or pick 6, or whatever many pick 5s and 6s they have on today's program. But to recap my selection now for the 9th from Pimlico, it is James W. Murphy. Going to take the 10 horse Abromar, give kudos to the 12 horse Fulmino and the 4 horse Twirling Point, 10-12-4-7 super, 10-12-4 in the multi race. To the 10th race. 10th race from Pimlico, it is the Sir Barton Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000 here. Races for 3-year-olds here. We have a field of 10 horses going 1,700 meters or mile 16th on the Pimlico dirt course. My top selection, I'm going to go with the 5 horse Corporate Power, 5-8-10-6 for me in the superfecta. 5-8-10-6 super. Top selection, 5 horse Corporate Power. This 3-year-old colt by Curlin here. Best to be remembered by winning the British Cup Classic in 2007, but he started off that campaign really, his coming out party was his Preakness in 2007, which he won quite easily. But this 3-year quote by Curlin here, Shug Mckay, he trains this one. Javier Castellano gets them out. 9-5, first-time stakes quality horses, first-time blinkers on also. His most recent race came 12th of April here in New York at Aqueduct on a very sloppy going, a mile and eighth and obsolete claimer, and he finished second by 2 1/4 lengths that day. And from the inside, he stalked that day, got out of the race course, out of the gate well. He stalked all the way around the race course, a little bit wide. I thought he wanted a little bit more ground. They were going quite slowly, not as, they won't go on paper as slowly as they were that day. And, he just couldn't get there late, but he was gaining that day. But he needs a quicker pace. He's probably going to get it today. He's a very good post draw, not just stuck on the inside. I think he could find the trip to win. I thought in this maiden victory on the 24th of February at Gulfstream, mile and eighth and main special weight, he ran terrifically in that all-out finish. He won by a neck. He sat back early. He stalked. He got the lead. And he grinded it out to the wire. A very good race for him that day. All those 3 horses in that photo finish all ran terrific races. And then on debut at Gulfstream, 7 furlongs in main special weight Pegasus weekend, he finished 4th by 8 1/4 lengths that day, and he just didn't get out of the gate so clearly. He was a little bit wide, and he's just not bred for the 7 furlong trip. He's bred for a mile and eighth, mile and a half. If the Belmont was this year at a mile and a half, he probably would have been a great horse for that. But refreshing here, training well since the last race, can handle a little slop. I think he's loaded in this spot. I think the 8-horse Tuscan Sky could win for Tom Pletcher and Luis Saez. Most recently, the Wood Memorial at Aqueduct over the mile and eighth. He was 7th by 12 lengths that day, and he was just wide. There was an incident at the top of the lane, so he just, couldn't really get around it so easily and had to stop there, which cost him, he wasn't going to win, but it cost him a little bit better position. But what can you do? He just wasn't into it that day. Terrifically, he ran Risen Star Day at Fairgrounds, mile 16th on a very sloppy going an optional 80. He won by 2 lengths that day, and he only had 2 of the rivals, but he stalked all the way around the race course. He got to the front, and he quickened up nicely, and he got the job done. A very good race for him with a 95 buyer. And then on debut on the mud at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs in the main special weight, winning by 5 1/4 lengths. He's facing nobodies, but he stalked, he got the lead, and he really took off clear. He's training well. It looks like he's a little bit of a late bloomer. He's definitely run races fast enough to win here. I'll definitely give him a shot here in the late pick 4 that begins with this race. So I think you're going to go, or I'm going to go, and you could do it if you want, but I'm going to go 2 deep here in the pick 4 to begin it off. But to recount my selections now for the 10th from Pimlico, it is the Sir Barton. Going to take the 5-horse Corporate Power, give kudos to the 8-horse Tuscan Sky, 5-8, 10-6 Super, 5-8 in the multi-race. Let's get to the turf sprint, the 11th race from Pimlico. 11th race from Pimlico, it is the Jim Mckay Turf Sprint. It's going for a purse of $100,000 here. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 12 horses entered. We do have any MTOs in this one? No MTOs in this one. So they'll be going 1,000 meters or 5 furlongs on the Pimlico turf course, the very saturated turf course. My top selection here in the Jim Mckay Turf Sprints, I'm going to go with the number 10 horse. The number 10 horse charging 10, 8, 11, 12 in the superfecta. 10, 8, 11, 12 in a race. This race, I always remember it by Ben's Cat always winning this race. It always seemed like, year in, year out, he always won this race. I'm shocked that there is a Ben's Cat Stakes, but I'm shocked that they didn't rename this race the Ben's Cat, but they chose another race. But Jim Mckay, great fixture in American broadcasting, and especially in Maryland also, with the commitment he made to the racing and breeding there. But creator of the Maryland Millions years ago. Did you know that? Now you know something. But back to to my selection here. I'm going to go with the number 8 horse, to the number 10 horse. Where are we? I'm going to go to the number 10 horse as my top selection, charging this 4-year-old colt by Candy Ride. Tom Morley trains. I Ride Teach Jr. gets him out. I know I'm going off subject again. That Tom Morley horse that won Tuesday or Thursday afternoon at Aqueduct in the 6th or 7th race, going 6 furlongs. That was a very good horse. Keep an eye on him for next time out. But back to charging. His most recent outing came at Laurel, 5.5 in the King Leatherberry on the 20th of April. Which he finished 3rd by a neck that day, and he sat back early. He had the lead, and then he just, if the race was 5 furlongs at the first finish line, he would have won by open lengths. But with that extra furlong, half furlong, he just just stopped that day. He was like, nope, I don't want to win. I want to win at 5.5. He just wasn't getting into it. He ran his heart out that day. He improved off the previous race, but he still needs to get to the finish line first and keep the momentum going. If he can do that, he can win. 2 back and obsolete at the Fairgrounds, 5.5 on the Stall Wilson Turf Course, 16th of March. He finished 5th by 15 lengths that day, and they were flying on the front end. He just couldn't keep up late. Off the bench, he probably needed the race also. What can you do? And then option 50 at the Fairgrounds on New Year's Day in a 5.5 furlong option 50. He won by 2 lengths on the front end all throughout. A very good race there. Other than that subpar race in March, his fairground races over the winter weren't bad at all. He won a very nice allowance race there in December quite nicely with an 87 buyer. And then his final race of the season in New York in November on dirt, it was not a success. If this race is going to be on dirt, I'm not going to take him because he just has run horribly on it. When he runs on the green stuff, he really improves. He's finishing the money most of those races. Refreshing here, training well 5-1. Has some forwardly pace, should overcome a wide poster, getting eye right up. I think he could win. I think the 8 horse, Boats Are Rockin' for Brandon Culp and Rodriguez could win also. His most recent race in the Aqueduct Turf Championship in November, going 6th. He finished second by 2 1/4 lengths of 44.5 to 1 that day, and he stalked all around the race course. The winner had the jump on him, but he got around decently that day. Prior to that, a lower on the optional 40 going to 5.5. He won by 3 1/4 lengths that day, and again took off clear from a tracking trip. And then the Park Stash of Parks in August. He that turf course at the end of the season plays very weird. You either handle it or don't. He wasn't handling it that day. He just never was really comfortable that day. But his race at Colonial going 5.5 in August wasn't bad at all. He should do wonders here. He has a good post draw. At 6-1, he could win. I think another horse for this late pick 4 could be the 11 horse Witty for Tyler Gaffalione. Won the King Leatherbury, won his seasonal reappearance or his final race of 2023 on the dirt at Laurel quite nicely. He ran here last year in the here at Pimlico on dirt where he had a very nice place. His races in the fall wasn't half bad. He won the Ben's Cat on this turf course in the fall, the local stakes race named after him. I'll give him a shot here. Even the 12 horse Beer Can Man for Phil D'Amato coming in from the West Coast. He ran the Shakertown where he just had a very horrible trip last time out. But his races in Southern California haven't been half bad. He hasn't won since this race last year. But it is a little bit tougher competition this year. But he has some forwardly pace to win. I would use him at 5-2. These turf sprints at times are very tough. So I think you want to go a little heavy in the pick 4 scenario with them. But to recap my selection now for the 11th Pimlico, it is Jim Mckay turf sprint. Going to take the 10 horse Charging. We'll go, where are we? We'll go 10, 8, 11, 12 Super, 10, 8, 11, 12 in the pick 4. Let's get to the dinner party, the historic 12th race from Pimlico. Race number 12 from Pimlico. It is the Dinner Party Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for a $500,000 purse. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards here. We have a field of 12 horses going to the turf course, the distance of ground of 1,800 meters or 1.1 here in the Dinner Party. This year, some of these races, I forgot to mention it early on, the turf sprint in the previous race, if you win this today, you get an automatic berth into the Royal Ascot sprint races in a few weeks' time, and also into the Prix Maurice de Guise at Deauville in August. This one, if you win this one, you get an automatic berth into the new John Henry Turf Championship at Santillana at the end of September, which is part of the California Crown kind of day. And also you get an automatic berth into the Eclipse Stakes at Sandown the first weekend in July in the UK. So it'll be kind of cool if our horses go over there to run in the Eclipse. But the Eclipse in the UK is basically the equivalent of, let's see, not even the Arlington Million. The Arlington Million or something like that is a grade 2. This is like the equivalent of a grade 1 proper grade group 1 event in Europe, and not a group 1 in the US. It really comes close to that Eclipse Stakes. So but it's a good idea. My top selection though in the Dinner Party, and I'm glad that it's back at 1.1 again this year. For quite a few years in the last 10 years, they've been running it at 1.16, which is good. But I think 1.1, just that extra half furlong really sets it well for the closers. With that being said, I'm going to go with the 5 horse Running B as a top selection. Let's go 5, 9, 10, 7 in the superfecta. 5, 9, 10, 7 super. Top selection 5 horse running B. This 5-year-old horse by English Channel. Chad Brown trains. Tyler Gaffalione picks up the mount. The horse's most recent out came at Keeneland 6th of April. Mile 16th in the allowance race, 135,000. Was a success for this horse. He won by half a length that day, and he sat back early. He saw a strong pace to close up into, and he did just that. He quickened up nicely. He got hurt a little bit, but it was still a very good race there for him. First off the bench. His previous race in the Tampa Bay Stakes of Tampa, mile 16th on the lawn, 3rd of February, he finished second by half a length that day. If he had a better poster, he probably would have won, but he had a very wide poster, had to leave to get good position out of the gate. He stalked, he had the lead, he got caught at the wire. What can you do? They were flying on the front and also where it was close to that strong pace. It just wasn't a recipe for success that day. He should have did a lot better there. And as the favorite in the Fort Lauderdale, the local prep race for the Texas Turf Cup at Gulfstream, mile 8th on the 30th of December. He finished 8th by 5 lengths. He had a very wide post draw, and he just wasn't getting going that day. But he won his first race in nearly a year and off 6-2 Aqueduct in November, winning by 3 3/4 lengths from wide post draw. He left out of the gate, and that was it. He basically put on a show with a 96 buyer. His form as a 2-year-old wasn't bad at all either, but his form recently hasn't been half bad either. 9-2. Next, back to the stakes calling horses. He could win. I think the 9 horse here, Beatbox for Joel Rosario and Cherry DeVoe, could win also. Most recently, the Muniz Memorial, he was just a little bit wide. I thought he needed something more to get down the race course, but he ran okay. Very soft conditions, similar to that you're going to see today at the fairgrounds and the Fairground Stakes in February. He won by a neck that day, and he sat back early. He slowly moved his way into it, and he grinded it out to the wire. A very good race, being strong quality. Home was his decent horse. And then the Colonel Bradley at the Fairgrounds over the mile 16th. He finished second by head that day. And again, he just sat back early. He kept coming. But the winner strong quality just outgamed him. But he ran his heart out. His races over the Fairgrounds turf course over the winter wasn't bad at all. Refreshing here, 5-1 with Joel Rosario up. He could win. Emmanuel's getting the 10 horse. I'm going to use him on the ticket also. He's getting some serious class relief. Most recently in the Maker's Mark Mile, proper grade 1 race this year, I think. Master of the Seas really took off clear. His horse, he set the pace, but then just kind of got caught late. He won the Canadian Turf at Gulfstream off the bench quite nicely. And then the 4-star Dave last year, he just came up empty. But, he won the poker last year. He finished 3rd in this race last year. He, again, winning the Canadian Turf last year. Since coming to the green stuff as a 2-year-old, he's really a 3-year-old. He's really become a better horse, and he has hidden ability that could definitely win here. He ran 100 buyer last year. And high 90 buyers, they could definitely win. Training well Churchill, I'll give him a shot here in the pick 4, but 5-2 is going to be a very low price on him, and he'll probably get overbet. But to recap my selection now for the 12th from Pimlico, it is the grade 3 $500,000 dinner party stakes. Going to take the 5 horse here, running B. We'll give kudos to the 9 horse Beatbox and the 10 horse Emmanuel. 5, 9, 10, 7 super, 5, 9, 10 in the multi-race pick 4. Let's get to the big one, the 13th race from Old Hilltop. The 13th race from Pimlico, it is the 149th running of the Preakness Stakes. It's a grade 1 event going for a purse of $2 million. This race is for 3-year-olds here. We have a field of 9 horses entered. Keep in mind, we had a midweek scratch of the number 4 horse Muth, so we'll be down to a field of 8 horses going the Preakness Trip of Ground, the 1,900 meter journey, or a mile and 3/16 on the Pimlico historic main track. Going to be a little historic, this Preakness also. Most likely the old grandstand and clubhouse will be gone, demolished over this winter. So next year they're going to be running in Tent City at Pimlico for the 150th Preakness. But it's going to be sad to see the old Pimlico go. But we always have to look forward to the future here, especially in horse racing. We're getting 2 new tracks in this day and age, which is unheard of. A new Belmont, a new Pimlico. We can't wait for that. But back to business here. My top selection this year's Preakness, I'm going to go with the number 8 horse Tuscan Gold. Let's go 8-3-9-5 in the superfecta. 8-3-9-5 super. My top selection of this year's Preakness, I'm going to go with the 8 horse Tuscan Gold. This 3-year-old colt by Medaglia de Oro. Chad Brown trains this one. Tyler Gaffalione, the winner of the 2019 Preakness on War Will, gets the mount. The horse's most recent appearance came the Louisiana Derby at the Fairgrounds, about 3/16 on the 23rd of March. And this horse, he ran a sneaky good 3rd place finish by 1 3/4 lengths. He had a very wide post draw, and he was a little bit wide throughout, but he got over well to get some good position. He stalked stalked all the way around the race course. Catching Freedom was running back. This one closed up from nowhere to get the job done. Anna Maria again closed up from nowhere to get the job done. This horse, he got around the race course well. Hopefully getting into it more early on could concentrate to the task ahead. I think he could find the trip to win. He ran terrifically in his maiden victory at Gulfstream, mile 16, 31st of January. Winning by 6 1/4 lengths that day from wide posture. He sat back early. He slowly moved his way into the race, kind of like Catching Freedom and Anna Marie did in the next start in the Louisiana Derby. But he slowly moved his way into the race, and then he took off clear. And remember, that's a short stretch at Gulfstream, so he started his bid around the the far turn, midway into the far turn, and for him to win by that with a short stretch, that was a very impressive victory for him there. And then opening weekend of Aqueduct in the fall, a mile in November in a main special weight, he finished fourth by 3 1/4 lengths. Sierra Leone, the stablemate, won that day. This horse, he didn't break so well, and he just, was a little lackadaisical early on. I think he needed the race for experience, but he definitely improved next start out with the longer trip. He's bred for this longer trip of a mile 3/16. He's training well in New York. They were actually going to run him last week in the Peter Pan. They decided to scratch him there to run him here today. I think that's a good thing. At 8-1, I think he could win. I think the 3 horse here, Catching Freedom for Brad Cox and Flavian Pratt, can get a trip to win. According to all reports at Pimlico, he looks like he's training an absolute beast since the Derby, and he's sitting in that good race. He ran a very good sneaky 4th place finish in the Kentucky Derby 2 weeks ago at Churchill in the mile 1/4, where he finished 4th by 1 3/4 lengths that day. And again, he stopped back early. Doesn't have a lot of forwardly pace. He's a deep closer, but he gained a lot of ground late. He was flying. If you find the aerial shot replay, go find it on the Peacock app and watch the Derby coverage again. And they showed it right after the race. That's how I found it. Where he came from, he ran terrifically. Everybody talks about Sierra Leone and Forever Young, but he ran just as good as the 2 behind him. He gained a lot of ground. He got a decent trip. Not a bad race in the feet. He's going to see a smaller group of horses here today. He can handle sloppy track with kickback. He's bred for this trip through and through. I believe Constitution, if I'm not mistaken, did he win the Pimlico Special over this course in like 2015 or 16? I think this horse could find the winner's circle today. He actually won over this Triple Crown in Louisiana Derby at the Fairgrounds a mile 3/16 in March, where he won by length that day. And again, he sat back early, stupidly wide. He started his bid at the 5/16 pole, but he flew home clear late. That was a very good, gritty performance. Even in the Risen Star, he just had a little bit of trouble that day. He was very wide, a little bit tight. Sierra Leone had the jump on this one, but he ran his heart out that day. And then the Smarty Jones opening week on New Year's Day at Oaklawn, he won by 2 1/4 lengths that day. And again, he was a little bit wide, but he flew home clear late. Training well. Everybody says since the last race he's loaded. I think a smaller, compact, and easier playing field in Pimlico to suit him well. I'll use him on the ticket. I also think your third likeliest winner is the 9-horse Imagination for Bob Baffert and Frankie Dettori, trying to become the first European rider to win European-based rider, or one of the first riders in quite a while to win both an English Classic and an American Classic. He's going to join the groups of Steve Cawthon and Mike Smith. Mike Smith won a European Classic, if you don't remember, in 1991, the Irish Classic. But Frankie Dettori's won many Guineas, many St. Ledgers, many Derbies, but he's never won an American Classic. I think this might be his best chance so far. This 3-year-old colt by Into the Mischief, they bought him for just over $1 million quite a few seasons ago. Bob Baffert trains. Frankie gets the out. He's 6-1 on the morning line. Probably half that on post. That's what you get. Most recently in the Santino Derby at Santino over the mile in the 8th, he finished second by a neck that day, and he just couldn't catch Stronghold, who just had the jump on this horse. But this horse, he kept coming back. I thought he ran decently that day. I think he's another horse. I think he benefits from a little bit more, ground here today. Prior to San Felipe at Santino over the mile 16th in March, another race, he grinded out to the wire. He doesn't want to win. He just seems like the kind of horse when he gets to the front end, he stops. But he got to the front end. He had to be used a lot that day, but he got the job done. A very good, gritty performance. And then Optional 100 at Santino over the mile. He finished second by a neck that day. Again, he got to the front end and just stopped. He's going to have to just keep going. If he can keep the momentum, he could win. He has that good cruising speed that Bob Baffert horses always have. From an outside poster, he's going to leave. And let's see what Frankie's going to do, if they're going to walk the dog with him. 6-1. I'll give him a shot here in this pick 4, pick 5, or pick 6, or whatever multi-race we have ending with this race. We have quite a few of them going into Friday's card, also into Saturday. So you go a few ways. with that being said, that's my thoughts on my top 3 who I'm using on my ticket. Here are some other thoughts about these horses in this year's Preakness. We'll start talking about the one-horse Mago 2 for Joe Bravo and Jeff Angler. Originally 2 weeks ago was also eligible for the Derby. Didn't make it in, so then they were going to target the Peter Pan. Then they decided, you know what, we'll go to Monmouth to target the Long Branch. Then they decided, you know what, we'll go to the Preakness in 2 weeks. They're targeting here. You know, he's the kind of horse, he kind of reminds me of Taylor Verb from quite a few years ago that finished second in the Preakness at a massive price. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets on an underneath spot there for a third or fourth. A definitely horse for your supers and tries here. But to win, he's going to have to find a good trip. And also his Tapeta form is much better than his dirt form. He's only run on it twice, but you know, he's gonna have to find a good trip to win. I just don't see it. You know, Uncle Heavy for Irad and Robert Reed. You know, he won the Withers quite nicely, but it wasn't the toughest group of horses. Came back to run in the Wood Memorial where he had a very wide poster and it was stupidly wide throughout, which, you know, wasn't a success. Another horse I do think with a better poster here today, he'll be forwardly paced. I was him for third or fourth, but he is, you know, just he is stepping up a major class here. We already talked about the 3-horse Catching Freedom. Muth is scratched 4-horse. Mystic Dan. It wouldn't surprise me if he wins, but he had his dream trip last time out in the Derby coming up the rail. He just saw no traffic that day, and he held on to the victory. Biggest question with him is, when he was run around a quick turnaround from his previous race in November, he just did not fire, you know, and you know, that's a bit of a worry. You know, he and all the races he's won, he's had everything, you know, easy trips. When he has a little bit of you know, adversity, he doesn't get through. But not to knock his Derby, it was a terrific run, but in the Arkansas Derby, he just never was really comfortable that day. He was wide, and you know, I just don't think he's going to get over to the rail today, and I don't think he want to be on the rail Pimlico in general either. I think a wider trip does better locally, but I just don't think he could win it. I would use him in the pick 4 in some of the tickets, but you know, I'm just going to stay away from him. I think the other 3 horses are just slightly classier than him today in this spot, but like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if he wins. I think the 6-horse Seas de Grey, another horse, it wouldn't surprise me if he wins. He ran terrifically in the Pat Day Mile, but he's going to have to get quite quicker to win this race. You know, he hasn't got over the 88 bar yet. You know, they tried getting him into the Derby. They tried with the Jeff Ruby Stakes where he finished third, where he ran okay. Then tried getting points in the Bluegrass where he just, you know, was very just lackadaisical. I do think in general his better races will come around a 1-turn mile or a mile 16th around, you know, in a lesser quality race. You know, I would use him underneath in trifecta supers, but just to win, you know, it's just not a use for me. I think Just Steel, he's making now, it seems, you know, he's a very workhorse here. He's making a 13th start. I picked him in the Derby, just did not fire that day. You know, ran terrifically in Arkansas, a little subpar where you have wide trip in the Rebel. You know, I just think you saw a very tired horse in the Derby. I'm not going to use him there. It wouldn't surprise me if they send him, though, to the front end and they steal like Oxbow or, you know, a few years ago. But, you know, 15-1, I'm not using him. We already talked about Tuscan Gold and the 9-horse Imagination. But now to recap my selections for the 13th race from Pimlico, it's the historic 149th Preakness Stakes. As a top selection, we're going to go take the 8-horse Tuscan Gold. We'll give kudos to the 3-horse Catching Freedom and the 9-horse Imagination. 8-3-9-5 Super. We're going to go 8-3-9 in the multi-race to end it off. So, with that being said, good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKit5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and join me in about 3 weeks' time at Saratoga for the Belmont Stakes. Good luck, everybody.